Weapon abused in helicopter mode. Helicopter is a permanent mode since almost 1 year, and nothing was done to have balance weapons, whereas when in the air, the mechanic is completely different than on the ground. Some weapons are completely abused in this mode. Starfall, AC-72, Cyclone, MG-13/14, ME-38/39, Reaper. Because of scope of those weapons, or because of easy assist, players use them by camping on their spawn and shooting until Catalina reach the top. Then it's impossible to approach them without being destroyed. The game looks like a duck hunt, completely ridiculous. This is the most toxic build used by static players. Parser is a cheated weapon that can break Helis in 2 shots. It can also break weapon without touching any other piece around the weapon. Something is abusive. When spectating player with this weapon, this is a completely nonsense with the aim the player target. Spark. Played with 3 sparks, and furtive you're pretty sure to erase your opponents in 5 seconds, it falls to 3 seconds with 2 or 3 players stuffed like this. When you are focused with Spark, you can't turn to aim your opponent because of the debuff of speed. No skill, just push the button, Caucasus. The nonsense weapon, like Spark, player, turn around opponents until the end. No skill, just push the button, in my mind. Helicopter mode have to be dynamic, not static, like 90% of the game because of camper sniping since the end of the map, or because of exploiter that break your game in less than 30s since the begin. But they did. Thanks to air battles, Caucasus is now garbage on the ground. The Starfall is an anti-air gun. After all, you know. I believe the Cyclone is also an anti-air rifle as well. Caucasus is only overpowered in low PS air battles where enemies don't have that much HP, which is where I see them dominate the most. I don't see them all that much at plus 10 KP's air battles, and when I do see them, they usually get creamed and stripped very fast. Caucasus don't have much HP and has a bad weight to durability ratio. The concept of a rotary barrel cannon, Vulcan and Avenger, come to mind, were made for aircraft. Accuracy through volume. And no, the Gatling gun doesn't count. But getting angry at aircraft for using aircraft weapons is kinda stupid. You can somewhat filter out advanced or undesirable weaponry by using your build's power score or composition to play under it or around it. This can be done with most any game mode, not just copters. It's not a perfect system. Takes some practice, and they keep changing the rules every couple months, but you can tailor your game experience to a large degree yourself, rather than asking the developers to work around your preferences by recoding the game mechanics everybody else is depending on. Experiment with different builds and weapons. Learn to recognize matchmaking preference patterns, and exploit those tendencies to find a comfortable groove that suits your playstyle. Yeah, it's easier said than done. Edit. Game currently runs like shit. It's not just you. Which is probably why there is an incoming update. Maybe some weapons could be forbidden in helicopter in order to separate metaground/air. By multiplying mode in Crossout, it separate players. I think helicopter mode in a new separate game will have a better life for each others. The problem was, they used the same balancing for 2 different set of mechanics. Caucasus, it's not the only case. Or they do what you said. Another option is making a ground version and an air version of the same weapon, cloning, for example. So far, the way it has been, the air guys complain about some weapon, the guys on the ground eat with all the nerfs. Hard. Have you noticed any change for the better? Well, I didn't either, only for the worst. I say mechanics. One major reason for this duality in performance. Air battles line of sight, ground battles not so much. Simple as that. Is it because he wants to share his opinion about the game? If you don't like the criticism of this game, don't read it. I will leave this game to beat you. Only frustration awaits you. Client activity fluctuates continuously throughout the year. It has in the past and will in the future. Also, spring and summer outdoor activities will also pull a majority of people away. Now, for the month of May, the states had wetter month. Nothing to get excited about. The entire accusation that rotors are the cause is 100% bogus. Again, there are separate battle modes in missions. That is the only activity other than bedlam that rotors are allowed. Should you press that function and then complain about rotors, that a self-inflicted dilemma. Shooting oneself in the foot, then blaming the gun. So the entire complaint about helicopters and the weapons is irrelevant and needless folly. I digress. When I was young, I have the NES, which is a 8-bits console. On this console, I have a game called Duck Hunt I can play with a plastic gun. The goal was to aim the duck and hit him to make score. Only 2 possibilities. You hit or you miss. Very simple. Today, around 40 years after, I play game in 4K on 64 bits core where I can use around 100 weapons. I can build my car with a very nice mechanic. Many statistics on items to study to find the perfect build. Nice graphics. But concerning most of the weapons I have listed, I can see people flying without moving, only pressing their unique button, aiming with assist, and waiting for winning or not. Same as in Duck Hunt 40 years ago. Only 2 possibilities: you hit or you miss. Maybe playing with a dice for these players will give them more happiness with 6 faces. Many possibilities. So yes, I found it ridiculous to play versus players playing Duck Hunt, thinking they are good with cheated weapons. I play with crickets, and build is based on the movement, because I only shoot from the front, and most of game I finish MVP, that's not the problem. Using cloak, invisibility or others only work for few seconds. Many weapons listed shoot with a small reload, if exist. So what to do, the time items reload. And why I have to be forced to equip those items in order to avoid cheated weapons, whereas a player with 2 Starfall don't need it. I also need my energy points to have weapons, and I can't equip more. At Weil_Coyote, because being on the ground give me more blues than playing in helicopter, so I don't play on ground at all. I only play helicopter since it was permanent. Make me finding the ground too slow and not dynamic as helicopter. You have the Y-axis in helicopter. It's completely another game. _smile. So because I play helicopter every day, I think I can tell what is going on in these battles and give my advice, which can be seen as a anti-helicopter rant. Saying, stop helicopter mode is in my advice more anti-helicopter than saying which weapons are the most used and why. I want opponent players with skills, not noobs hitting their unique button assist by a gamepad because the weapons is perfect for exploiting, or cheated because of stats of the moment. I'm fed up playing with bots too in PvP, so when playing against players, I would like to have somebody that played, not a hitting duck hunter that thanks himself to be so good. The only things done is Starfall have been upgraded 1 month after helicopter released because players on the ground complaining, whereas Starfall was already too strong in helicopter. For more than 9 months now, it breaks the helicopter mode. Everybody plays Starfall, and it's now a ridiculous duck hunt. Doing something for this mode not looking ridiculous is my goal, so I post what I see. Maybe you're the one using cheating weapons if you finish as MVP most of the time? I'm half joking, but I think it's weird when people who claim to be getting MVPs all the time complain so loudly about other weapons being too strong. If you think you are speaking for lesser skilled players, maybe let them talk for themselves. Here is how look the helicopter mode. 4 players camping with famous weapons, 4 bots rushing. LOL. You can see how I play in the video. Do you find any cheating things in my gameplay? Because somebody do MVP, he can't give his advice. I don't really understand. I complain about the fact some weapons are boring and drive to a ridiculous cheated behavior of the game even if I finish MVP. Gamepad plus assist with some of those weapons is a nonsense, in my opinion. Everybody is free to give his opinion MVP or not. I don't bypass the lesser skilled players by giving mine you are really strange. Here is a screenshot of my low PS helicopter build. Nothing fancy, just a couple of pyralids. I'm sure some may believe I am overpowered in some matches, but I have played this build over and over to master the weapon systems. The video you have provided looks as that build featured may be using pyralids. Not an easy thing to use in a helicopter build efficiently. Just thought I would share. I agree with most of the weapons listed from Overpowered. I've basically been using exclusively Caucasus and Cyclone ever since the mode launched, playing at 1213 kps.
The sky will become our arena, and we'll conquer it. I'm in position. Capture going live. I see the enemy. Being hit.
If the devs put it into the game, it's not cheating. It's just something you don't like. Of course, we are all free to voice our opinions. I'm just voicing my opinion about your opinion, which is just as much part of free speech. You are free to think I'm wrong, and I am free to think you are wrong. Freedom is great. I just find it funny when supposedly skilled players get all worked up about other people's weapons being too easy to use. You clearly think that other players should be even easier for you to stomp on. That's not because the dev put it in the game that it isn't cheated behavior. You take some shortcut really fast. What about gamepad assist? How you called it? And help for bad players. I found it also funny when people give their opinion about others. People's opinion hiding behind the advice of those who don't speak, instead of giving advice about the thread. In this way, I found it wrong. Yes, giving advice about other opinion is an oriented critic, not a free speech. As you said, we are not on Twitter. Everybody is free to give advice on the thread, and on the game, not on how somebody write and explain his opinion. Cancel culture doesn't have any place here.